What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to a new edition of the Breakaway Bandits podcast, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood here on the Sports Insanity Network. I am Mike Rifkin. Hope everyone is doing well. Happy President's Day. So, this episode is going to be one thing only. So, I fixed my camera a little bit. We're going to be talking Olympic hockey. We're going to talk both the men's side, the women's side. We're going to dive into it all here. Let's start with the men who finished group play today with a 5-1 win over Germany. 2 goals from Austin Matthews, which is very important. I'll get into why in a couple seconds. And Connor Hellebuck was very good in goal, giving up, making 23 saves on 24 shots. Didn't give up a goal till really midway through the third period, but he was on top of his game. This was probably the best game of the 3 group games the U.S. played. Um, they beat up Latvia pretty good, but that really wasn't a complete game. They got off to a weird start in that one. Then there was a game yesterday against Denmark where they were not good, it felt like, for 40 minutes. They wound up winning the game third period. Jeremy Swayman was dreadful, to say the least. But then today, they got off to a really a better start. And that's going to be a key going forward here. They need to get off to better starts. Germany had some looks early in this game. Connor Hellebuck stood tall. They had an early power play, the U.S., that they really couldn't get anything going on. There's even a play where Jack Hughes and Austin Matthews collide on a back pass from Quinn Hughes. I think they were just trying to see who Sheldon Keefe likes more, but that's just me. But then they get a goal late in the first period from Zach Werenski. They had one earlier from Jack Eichel that did not count, goaltender interference. I'm not going to get into the specifics of goaltender interference in the Olympics because I hate it as much as I do in the National Hockey League. That being said, Zach Werenski buries a pass from Austin Matthews. I think there's a little bit, about 9 seconds left in the first period. So the U.S. gets 1-0 lead. The German goaltender today, I just want to make sure I pronounce it right. Franz Reb, like, he gave 5 goals, but he was really good for the most part. Like, he kept Germany in it for as long as he could. But he gives up that one late. That was a backbreaker for Germany. Then you go forward into the second period. Another power play. Austin Matthews gets his first of the tournament off of a rebound from a Quinn Hughes point shot. Huge goal for Matthews. Huge goal for the U.S. To get that 2-goal lead, breathe a little bit. And then later in the second period, Brock Faber buries one. That the Chucks each get an assist there. And then they put this game away in the third period. First, Tage Thompson rips one early in the third, and then Austin Matthews got his second of the game before Tim Stutzla ruled the shutout for Connor Hellebuck. So the U.S. wins Group C. They've earned a bye into they don't have to play again. I think it's till Wednesday. But here's how the seeding will line. Canada is the number 1 seed based on goal differential. They'll play the winner of Czechia and Denmark. The U.S. being the 2 will play the winner of Sweden and Latvia. Slovakia, the 3 seed, will play the winner of Germany and France. Finland, the 4, will play the winner of Switzerland and Italy. and then reseeding takes place after the semis, or will take place for the semis. This again, this was the best effort for the U.S. in the three games. But one of the things I liked through the three games is they haven't been relying on one guy. And I think there are times we as fans look at this and go, okay, we're really kind of disappointed because Cole Caulfield's on this team, Jason Robertson's on this team. These are two of the premier goal scorers in the National Hockey League. Why are they not here? And then you look at the lineup and you go, okay, well, who are you really putting them in for? And someone will say, well, Brock Nelson's, well, Brock Nelson on Thursday has two goals. He plays an important piece. Okay, Vincent Trocheck. Vincent Trocheck, I think he's played very well through three games. Face-offs wise, penalty killing wise. He's a guy Mike Sullivan trusts. I mean, if you want to tell me JT Miller, I'm with you. I don't think there's a purpose for JT Miller, but on this team. But that's more of my biases as a Ranger fan. I thought today, though, one guy really stood out. I thought yesterday the best player on the ice was Jack Eichel. Jack Eichel, I think, centering the Chucks has been uh, very strong. And I thought yesterday was his best game, points wise, yeah, but he's had chances through each game. He's played, I felt, a very strong and honest game. He's a player I've liked his game. But the guy today who kind of stood out, and I thought this was his best game, I thought Dylan Larkin played a really strong game today against Germany. He had a couple of good opportunities, couldn't cash in. Um, but they paired him up today with Tage Thompson and Clayton Keller. And I think the installing of Clayton Keller into the lineup gives the U.S. another element because he's another fast player, but he's another 200-foot player too. And that's why I think Clayton Keller, as we go along here into the quarterfinals and then into this, however far they go, Clayton Keller might have a role here. And I love Kyle Connor. And Kyle Connor's a guy who could, one shot, boom, he could score. I'm not suggesting you scratch Kyle Connor again, but I think you have to think about maybe I could scratch a JT Miller here for Clayton Keller. I think that should be on the table for the US. Um, again, I thought Connor Hellebuck was really strong today in his crease. He made some massive saves early in this game. Um, I felt he was really strong today. And I think this decor is strong. They're really good at moving the puck. This Quinn Hughes, Charlie McAvoy pairing is really worked out. I still think Jacob Slavin's the most underrated defenseman in the NHL. What he does. He plays a big role. Brock Faber, is going to be a piece here. I like where the U.S. are today. The first two games, I didn't love them. I didn't love the way they played. But now you look at them; they're starting to mesh, and it's starting to look really pretty, and it can be very pretty. But I thought today was the most important thing today is Austin Matthews getting those two goals, because I think if you go into the quarterfinals and Austin Matthews doesn't have a goal, then I'm going to be thinking of, oh boy, what's going on with Austin Matthews? He's not producing. Is that save Jordan Binnington made on him in the Four Nations last year, is that creeping into his head? The McDavid goal, is that in his head? Austin Matthews getting off the schneid and getting a couple today. very important for his confidence. Um, because listen, I didn't love the decision to name him the captain of Team USA, if I'm being blunt, but he's the captain, and you need a guy to you need that guy to carry himself with some confidence, and he gets that today. Because going forward, the United States is going to need Austin Matthews. They're going to need Jack Eichel. But here's the engines. The engines are not Jack Eichel and Austin Matthews. The engines are the Tkachuk brothers. And the game that Brady Tkachuk has played, really through 3 games, Brady's been their best player. Part of that is him playing with Jack. Part of that is he's starting to come. I shouldn't say he's starting to come into his own. He's already been in his own a great player. But Brady Tkachuk, he's just playing with supreme confidence. He's playing physically. He scores a big goal yesterday to tie the game against Denmark when the U.S. had nothing going. Him playing with Matthew has been very important for the U.S. here. And Matthew today had a lot of energy. He was physical. He brought his presence. How about him saying to Leon Draisaitl, always the bridesmaid, never the bride? Like, they need that. They need that kind of energy from those guys because they don't have a lot of those guys who are just physical and are nasty to play against. They don't have a lot of those guys. These are your leaders who do that. Now they're going to have to walk the line a little bit, but they've been under control so far through 3 games. And them with Jack Eichel that's been the best line for Mike Sullivan and company. How they'll fare against Sweden or Latvia. You've played Latvia once. Okay. Sweden might be a problem. Sweden's got a lot of good players. So we'll see what happens there. But the U.S., one of the things that they've done these 3 games, they've had a lot of puck possession time. That's been the theme for both teams, the men's team and the women's team, puck possession. They've had zone time. So that's a big thing here for the United States. We'll see what happens. I don't think they don't play again till Wednesday, and by then we'll figure it out if it's Sweden or Latvia. My guess right now is it's going to be Sweden. Canada being the 1 seed. By the way, who's been great? Who's been great for Team Canada? Yeah, Connor McDavid's been really good. Macklin Celebrini has been awesome for Team Canada. And you want to talk about a guy coming into his own in his second year? It's Macklin Celebrini. And it's funny because Team Canada probably has the top 3 Hart candidates are probably on Team Canada. McDavid, Celebrini, McKinnon. Unless you want to throw Kucherov in there too, which you could always do. They probably also have the Jack Adams Award winner with John Cooper. They don't have the Vezina Trophy. Jordan Binnington's not winning the Vezina this year. Sorry. But look, Canada's going to be. We know Canada's the favorite. I think Canada's winning this thing. But if you catch them on a rough day, they can outscore those mistakes that Binnington can make. But we'll see what happens. The game would really be interested in would be that Finland and Switzerland game if it's Switzerland. Switzerland's they've played tough. They've played some tough competition. And they've got some injuries. Kevin Fiala, that injury, that's brutal for the LA Kings. And the Kings put out a statement today Kevin Fiala underwent successful surgery to repair fractures in his left lower leg. He's resting comfortably and will begin the recovery and rehab program. He'll miss the remainder of this season. We will be reevaluated at the conclusion of the regular season. That's from the Kings. And if you didn't see it, Tom Wilson, Team Canada, goes for a hit of Fiala. Fiala kind of goes for a reverse hit. It's an awkward landing on both. That's not Tom Wilson's fault. I thought Tom Wilson was a bit of a goon today in Canada's game, but uh, fighting during the Olympics, not a thing. But Tom Wilson's there, but he knows what he's doing. Tom Wilson's brought him to do a couple of things. Yeah, he can score 20 goals, 30 goals, but he's there to be a pain in the neck. That's what he's there for. So we'll see what happens there the rest of the way with Team Canada. But look, I think if you're the U.S., you're happy with today. You'll be very happy. Yeah, I think you're most happy with Matthews getting the two, but more important than that, Connor Hellebuck's performance. Because there's going to be a game where the U.S. may not have the puck possession numbers, and they're not going to be able to coast to a win, and they may need Connor Hellebuck to steal a game. If Connor Hellebuck can play like that and steal a game, that'll be massive for Team USA. Because quite frankly, and this is not a shot, I don't know if Jordan Binnington can do that. So that's we'll see what happens there. But I think if you're Team USA, you take the little break here for the next couple of days, you work on some things. I still think you've got to find a way to get Clayton Keller in on Wednesday. And if it's at the expense of JT Miller or someone, I think Mike Sullivan's got to pull the trigger. Now to the women who they're already on to the semifinals. They're going to play Sweden tomorrow. And I think the most impressive thing I've seen from the women is just their balance. Their lineup is so balanced, and they're getting production out of everybody. You know, they beat the in this tournament. They beat the Czechs, they beat the Finns, Swedes, Canadians, and the Italians. And by the way, that Canada game, I know Mary Philippe Poulin didn't play, but that was a really good showing for the U.S. And obviously, I think their most impressive game. But they're getting great goaltending. They're defending well, but it's the balance, and the young players are making such a difference for them. They're playing with a speed, a tenacity. In past Olympics, they were so reliant on a Kendall Coyne Schofield or a Hillary Knight or an Abby Rock or Abby Murphy. They haven't had to be reliant. Those players are producing, but they don't have to be the person because there's other contributions. And there's contributions from the blue line. I mean, the in the Italy game, Megan Keller had a blast of a shot that went in. You know, Kendall Coyne comes through with 2 goals the other day. You know, gets her on the board, gets her confidence up. But again, we're talking about somebody who's got Olympic experience. Now they're going up against a Sweden team that, look, they're also 4-0 coming in to this one. They're unbeaten. And they're playing, they've given up 2 goals the whole tournament. They're working on 3 straight shutouts. So I think the one thing for the Americans is this: they have to play clean. They haven't really taken many penalties. They've drawn a lot of penalties. They played a feisty game against the Italians the other day. Let's see if they can carry that kind of feistiness over, because I think that's a good thing. Because they had that game against Canada, which was a 5-0 result I didn't see coming. But they're playing with speed. They're playing with tenacity. They're aggressive on the forecheck. And when they've needed a save, they've gotten it. Let's see what happens tomorrow when they play against Team Sweden. And then they'll play, I believe it's Canada or Czechia. Let me just double check that. That'll be for the gold medal if they can get by Sweden. But there's a lot to like about the women's hockey team and how they've played. The speed, the special teams have been really good. 10:40. Oh, it's Canada and Switzerland tomorrow. Okay. I don't know why I thought it was. I'm probably thinking of the men. Okay, so it's a. I don't know. Let's see what happens. But look, the U.S. have played a strong game. They really have. I think if you're the women, you know what you're going up against. You've played with a really good tenacity. It's a good learning experience for the young players. The veterans have done a really good job leading. See what happens. Uh, but special teams, they've played a factor for both for both U.S. national teams. The men's power play's been pretty good. They've scored a goal in every game, I believe. Uh, I don't think they've given up a power play goal. And you know, the idea of understanding roles, I think, is really important here for both sides. Um, a guy who could be playing top line minutes for his NHL team isn't playing top line minutes here. The buy credit Mike Sullivan for getting these guys to buy in too. So we'll see what happens with both American hockey teams. Uh, American women take on Sweden tomorrow, 10:40 a.m. The men are off until Wednesday. So we'll see what happens there. That'll do it for this edition of the Breakaway Bandits podcast, sponsored by the Dugout Million here on the Sports Insanity Network. Like, comment, subscribe here on the YouTube page. For the recorded version, well, there is going to be no recording version, but for other recorded versions of this podcast, go check those out wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on the socials: Facebook, the Sports Insanity Network, Twitter, S Insanity Real. Follow me personally on Twitter, Pun Rifkin, same name on Blue Sky. Go to the website, thesportsinsanitynetwork.com for great blogs, vlogs, planes, trains, and automobiles. Enjoy the rest of the Olympics. Thank you for listening to this edition of Breakaway Bandits podcast. I'm Mike Rifkin. Talk to you all again very